What is up, YouTube? I've never introduced myself. My name's John. Somebody asked in the comments. First name is John. We are going to keep jamming away on this ironhead today. We got the carb all cleaned up. I just went over a bunch of the odds and ends on this, but today I'm going to pop the cover off of this mag. I have some new parts. We'll see what actually gets used here. But we got a fuel filter, and I don't know, I've always liked the clear caps on mags, so I got a new setup for the mag with a clear cap and gaskets, and I have a fresh gasket if we want to keep the black one. It's a TCCME or TCME cap. I have no idea what these points look like underneath here, so we're just going to give this a quick cleanup for right now. I don't want to spend too much time going through this because it was running pretty well. Also, if anybody knows exactly which mag this is, please let me know. I think there's only two manufacturers, like Hunt or the Fairbank Morse or Morris. I don't know. They're all pretty similar to me, but we're gonna go through the mag, and then I gotta decide what we're gonna do, whether I'm gonna just throw the carb back on and try and fire this thing back up and see if it starts any better before we tear into the motor, or if we're gonna go into the motor first. I kind of want to, I'm leaning towards just slapping it together and then taking it all back apart again, just to see if we can fix the hard starting issue as it sits. While this is open, I'll pull the timing plug out of the other side, get that lined up and verify timing, but I really don't want to change it too much. It looked like it was kicking back in the startup video, but that was only because I didn't know where I was at on the compression stroke. Once I found the compression and got it running again, compression came back the way it's supposed to. Had to have been a rings thing. That's the only thing I can think of. Once compression came back, we were good on that, and it didn't kick back at me at all. So I think timing is pretty good, and for it to start from coming off of a trailer, being stored for X amount of years, it's pretty dang close in my opinion. And I rode it. It was breaking up, but I think a lot more of that was the carb than it was the timing. So where does that leave us today? We're gonna pop this off, clean up the points. While we're in there, I will pull the other side off, make sure we're lined up on the right lobes and things over here. Then put the new clear cap on, and yeah, maybe throw the carb back in, try and get it fired up. The carb on this is so easy to get on and off, but this rear head's got to come off to fix the oil leak from the rocker. And if that's coming off, I might as well, the intake's coming off, motor mount's coming off, might as well do the front head gasket as well and just reseal both rockers and heads. We'll see. Start with the mag. Let me get you guys set up. Magneto things. So I got the one in the back here. 4 bolts on the cap, so pretty straightforward. All we're doing is taking these off. I want to replace the gasket on here anyway because being underneath the carb plus moisture and points don't mix very well, especially on a big flat surface like this. Not that I plan on riding this bike everywhere because we have better bikes for that, for long haul cruises, but if it's mine, it better be able to go where I want it to, regardless of weather. Not that that's going to matter that much since we are in the cold season. So you got 1 bolt back here underneath the intake that's kind of a pain to get to. The rest of them are pretty easy and accessible. So rip up the rest of these 4. I've never opened up a mag, actually. I know how they work, but I've never done it. So contacts here, not the worst, not the best. Looks like there's some silicone in here too. So everything in here actually doesn't look too bad. Silicone around the green wire, which goes up to the kill switch. Points condenser. Let's see how these points look. Let's see how close you guys can get, or if you're gonna focus. So on the points themselves, they really don't look that bad. In here, there's definitely some corrosion on the edge of there. Not much. They're pretty clean on the outsides, but there's definitely some gunk and gack on the inside. So we're just gonna run some paper through there Try and get these points cleaned up a little bit. Then I gotta go over to the other side and set up the timer, but that's your mag. You got a coil, condenser, points, and then a bunch of spinny bits. And then here's our little timer. So plugs are in, which is gonna make this a little bit harder to kick over or rotate. But let's try, no, screw it. I'm gonna jump to the other side. I'll bring it with. While this is all apart, we're just gonna yank these plugs off. Let these dangle here. Pop our plugs out first. Make it a little easier to turn over. Ran and dry on these crusty old plugs too. Not a big fan of the auto lights. Pretty black. I don't know how accurate that's gonna be in terms of my 2 rips around the block with this. I feel like they were pretty black from the get-go. That one's a little bit better. Still on the dark side. But that is a-okay. So plugs are out now. Less resistance when we're turning the motor over. And then I gotta pull this timer plug. I don't like these big ones. Alright, so we'll pull the timer plug here. And that will at least get us close. If this is close to lining up, then we're gonna run it as is. If not, then we'll make adjustments as needed. So plugs are out. Timer plug is open. So we'll come back over. Let me grab a flathead. So what we're gonna do is grab a flathead. I'm gonna put this in the timer hole while we kick over. This is going in the timer hole vertically so it can catch the groove. I think I did this in one of them. And here's our big lobe, small lobe. You're looking for small lobe, sorry. Right there. Now, let me do this one more time just to find the compression stroke. There, we're coming up on compression. Kicked through. So we'll go over again. Coming up on compression now. Screwdriver in the hole placed vertically. Coming to the point. Oh, I just passed it. Too strong of a leg, I guess. It's from all this kicking. So finger in the spark plug hole, kicking it over again. Coming up on compression now. Screwdriver in the hole, and this will come up quick, right there. So let me grab a light so you guys can see the timer mark. We're on the compression stroke, which means piston's coming up, building compression. Here is our line in the timing hole. Come on. Give you a straight on shot. Slightly off center to the back side, right there. Now we'll come over to the points and verify that these are all set up proper. And it is nice, they did mark the small lobe for us. But this is where the points are just about to open here. So we're at the tail end of that, and the points have just started to open, actually. So, I mean, that's close. That is really close. There's a tiny bit of adjustment we could make on there. But let me go a little past this, and we'll take a look at the point gap here. Line this up on the center of the lobe, because if you look, the points are just open right there where they're supposed to be. That's at the top of the lobe, and our gap looks pretty good visually. I could mic that out, but I don't need to. I've done enough of these. Those points look pretty good to me, right exactly where they're at. The only other thing to think about with points timing, make sure your gap is set proper. So on this, being a mag, or any of them for that matter, if I bring this around all the way now to the back lobe, you want those gaps to be within spec on both. 2 lobes, make sure the gaps are pretty much the same on both. There's a little bit of a clearance on there, and you might not be able to get them exact, but the point gap affects your dwell, which will throw off your timing if you're way out of adjustment. Something to keep in mind, but I'm pretty happy with that. I kind of figured it would be. That lined up. Points were just starting to open as the timer mark came up on the hole, which is exactly what we want. So we got the ignition off, not that it matters because we're not kicking anything, there's no power. But now we can start cleaning all of this up. So we're gonna scrape this gasket off, put a fresh one on here. Get lucky, get lucky, get lucky, get lucky. Whew, got lucky. So I'll scrape this down real quick. We'll put some gasket sealer on here, not RTV, but gasket cinch around here. We'll drop this gasket back in, I think, unless, what kind of gasket do we have? Maybe we're just gonna slap it back in. Let me clean off this surface. All right, so we're just scraping up the mag here. The worst part about this was chromed at some point, and all of the chrome is flaking on the sealing surface. So that's not my favorite thing in the world, but I don't think it's gonna cause us any issue here. Not with the fresh gasket. And then instead of using a gasket sealer, I'm actually gonna try something that I've done on carburetor gaskets when the lid comes on and off, or the carb comes on and off a bunch. We're going to grab some grease and grease the gasket. Grease will serve as a water barrier as well, and it'll allow me to pull this gasket on and off a ton of times. It works on a carburetor that sees a ton of heat cycles. It drastically extends the life of the gasket and makes it easier to put on and off and change. If this is a terrible idea, yell at me in the comments, that's fine too. But everything in here is tight, timing-wise, it looks pretty good. I'm gonna grab the air hose. I'm gonna turn you guys off. I'm just gonna blow this all out because I dropped some chrome shavings and things down into the mag. We'll blow this out and then throw on some new cool guy tough chopper parts. I was getting ready to slap this together now that I blew everything out. I have a really crappy compressor that barely starts and it's extremely loud. So ready to slap this together, and then I remembered that we didn't actually clean up the points yet. So what I'm gonna do is take a little strip of emery cloth. This is almost too aggressive for what we're trying to do here. And then I'll just let the points kind of close. Rub this up and down a little bit, and you get a little bit of black residue on the sandpaper. Sandpaper is not really what you want to use on points, but I'm just going quicker here because this will leave a little bit of a residue on them, I believe. So we got one side done. And then I just use the spring pressure on the points themselves to help clear that out a little bit. And then I'm gonna take a good old dollar bill. Dollar bills are nice, they got some fibrous paper in here, and run this through. We're still on a lobe, so I'm gonna rotate this a bit more, get it closed. And this should get rid of any of the sandpaper residue. I just want nice clean contact area here. Honestly, I think if I just used a dollar bill like this and worked it through, we probably would have been just fine. You can see some of the black that came off right there. And I'll let the points close, just keep a little pressure so you're taking some of the tension off the spring so it doesn't catch the bill and rip it. But now, if I look at these, they're nice and clean. So we'll go from there. Dropping things everywhere. Let's open up our new bag. Actually, this is a really nice gasket. It's thick, it's foamy, but it's not like a cork one like the old school style. It's like a nice rubber. So we're not going to put any sealer on here. New mag gasket. Pliable, thick. What I want. And we'll drop this guy on here. Hopefully it fits. This is the real question, right? Will this fit? Looks like it should. Then we'll take our brand new clear guy cap. From Sifton. I know it's kind of cheesy, but I like all of these. Then we got some new hardware. I like the clear parts. It makes it super mechanical to me, and I can kind of see what's going on in there. And then, while it's running, in theory, I'll be able to see if my condenser's going bad when these points start arcing out like crazy. Came with new hardware, so we're going to run these little flatheads instead of the Allens. I like that better. because odds are I will always have a screwdriver on me on every one of the bikes that I'm ripping around if I'm traveling. I usually keep one of the Allen key tools, but that could cause us some problems too. Because if I have like a multi-tool, you're not going to be able to get in here with the Carb and stuff on. Flathead, I should be able to get in there. So let me grab a screwdriver, and then we'll just start snugging these up. Try and go even here. So I'm just getting them all started. This one's going to be a pain with the intake. Make sure the gasket's nice and level all the way around. I'm just kind of feeling back here right now. I think that's pretty good. So now we got a nice little seal on here. Now we'll snug them up. I'll start in the back corner. That's the hardest one, like so. Now we can see what's happening in there. And screwdriver is much easier to fix on the side of the road. So to me, that's a win-win. Then I think I just decided I put the timer plug back in on the other side because we're gonna run with it. With this new setup, we'll drop the plugs in. Hopefully they fit. I probably should have checked that first, but we'll throw these plug leads into the mag. So these will drop in. I'm actually gonna open this up. This is a little crushed, so we're gonna open this up just a bit because I don't want these in there loosey-goosey like they are. I want a little bit of a bite here. Even if it takes some force to get them back in here. Like so. Same thing here. Just kind of round these out a little bit. And you do have a couple little pins right here. Those pins should grab onto the contact mating area. Like that. It's a little bit better. Let me open this one up a bit too. So your spark leads, you want them to fit in there tight. And then we'll slide this rubber boot up just a bit too. Like so. Now those are in there. Much better than they were. We'll go to the other side. We're gonna drop the plug back in. I just made the executive decision that I am gonna try and fire this up. So I'm gonna put the plugs in, then we'll throw the carb back in, hook the fuel line up. I might throw a fuel filter in and then try and see if this thing starts any better than it did before. Now that it's all cleaned up with fresh, cleaned up ignition stuff, and go from there. So fresh set of plugs would definitely be a good idea too. I just haven't gotten any yet. Maybe I'll run out and grab a set of plugs. I got a ton of the long reach ones for the shovels, but none of the shorties. So there's that, and I think we should be able to get this hooked up and fired up before I have to go to work. Let me tighten up the plugs and we'll be back on the other side when we put the carb back on. The only thing I haven't finished on the carburetor is this little vacuum hose, which is completely cracked. So we're gonna take that off. I'll jam a new vacuum fitting on this and we'll put that on. Well, these should work. Blue? I'm thinking blue. Yeah, that'll work just fine for now. So I might cut this down. Yeah, let's just shorten it now while I'm doing it. So it's not one of those things I'm gonna forget about. Just enough to go on and snug up on here. So our one port is capped. These ones are vents. I don't care about the broken hoses. Don't know if I'm gonna replace those yet unless they cause me problems, but they shouldn't. Let's start throwing this thing back on. On the carburetor, I put a little oil on here. Assembly lube really, but it's just the closest thing I had. I'm going to try and give myself a little bit of a cheating break. Not required, and it might actually have worked without it, but this boot is not rock hard, but it's not soft. Jam this thing back in here now. Don't forget your coupler. And let me actually tighten the rear first. Give myself a fighting chance here. I don't want this boot or coupler shifting around a ton on me. We gotta make a carb support for this too. like running this style fitting without one. Go, let that oil kind of soak in a bit. All right, snug up our hose clamp. Nice and tight there. Okay, carb's back on. So now we have a fuel line that's gonna drop right here. I think I might try and put a filter in line just because this is a crusty tank and we just cleaned the carb, so I really don't want to gack that up. Let me grab one of those new filters. Won't be the most aesthetically pleasing, but it should work. We have a plethora of fuel lines, so if I hate this, we can adjust it at a later point in time. And just because I'm almost out of hose clamps, we're going to run one of these crappy little snaps that come with the fuel filter. Come on. Not a fan of these. They're big and they're ugly. But they should work. Finish that. Come on. Those will be getting replaced with hose clamps at a later date. Find the one I just shot across the garage. But for right now, that will work just fine. So grab yourself a pair of pliers, make it easy on yourself. Pinch this down, slide your hose in first. Oh no. I forgot my hose clamp that I actually need. Whoops. Do over. I don't know why I left that one up there. So pop this off first and do this all over again. Sorry about that. I left it up there so I didn't lose it, since I have a shortage and I haven't ordered more hose clamps yet. Let's try this again. There we go. And the other hose on. Like that. And this will work just fine. Hose clamp here. I'll just set this on here. Drop this back on the carb. Snug this up. It's easier to put the hose line on after, in my opinion, after you put the lid back on, but we're here now. That'll do. Now, throttle slide. I don't know what needle we have in here. There should be numbers on it. I think they're higher up in the bore. I also have no idea what clip position we're in. But we're not going to mess with any of that yet, because this was running. We need to later on. I imagine there's going to be a ton of tuning to do. It's also getting cold, so right now we're going to try and fire this up. This is why I like Mikunis though. Cap's just thread on. So there we have it. Carb is installed, fuel line's on. Let me click this on, see if we get any leaks here in the next minute or so. All over the brand new mag cover. I am saving the old cap here too, in case I get sick of the clear one. And in the course of working on all this stuff, while we're checking for gas leaks over there, found the head gaskets. So we'll definitely be doing the front two heads. It doesn't really look like the bases are leaking that much, so I'm not going to worry about those yet. I don't want to do a full rebuild on this because it's a runner. and a rider. So we're gonna try and keep it that way as long as possible, but I don't need to be riding a bike that's rolling smoke like a diesel truck because of some stupid top-end gaskets. I gotta see if I got some rockers too. I actually don't know if I have rocker gaskets. We'll look for those today too. I'll hit up my indie shop, see if he's got any in stock, but we'll go from there. All right, we are not leaking. Plugs are in, ignition is off, garage is closed. What time is it? Yeah. 9 a.m. Is it time to wake up the neighbors yet? I might give that a minute. We'll be back. We'll try and get this fired up real quick, see if this actually does anything. If it works, we're in luck. Oh, this is the gas cap off of Justice's chopper. The vent doesn't work, so we'll make sure we leave that one on there loosely. I'm not going to hook the air cleaner up yet until we give this a shot. So let me give it about 10 minutes and then we'll fire this up right around 9:30 or so before I gotta leave for work. Wish me luck, I guess. Okay, who cares about the neighbors? I'm impatient. It's like you just get all this stuff back together and you gotta see how it goes. It's not that early, 9:30. I've been up since 5:30. I don't care if they want to sleep in. Okay, air cleaner's off. Fuel is on. We're not dripping. Maybe we are dripping a little. Where are we leaking from here? Right at the end of the overflow, a little bit. So set this off for a second. Okay, so I might have the float a little over adjusted. It was on the underside. Now we're getting a slight leak out of there. So we're gonna have to come back to that at some point. This could be one of the videos where I light this bike on fire, huh? That'd be fun. I don't have a drain tube, so it's literally dropping right on the mag. Oh, shit. Well, that's not good. I just cracked the cover already. Damn it. It wasn't even crazy Hulk tight. Oh, well. Back to the drawing board. Well, apparently, cold garage, like 37, 38 degrees in here, brand new plastic, and fuel aren't a good combo. So, yeah, just broke some brand new parts. That was exactly how I wanted to start my day. Shoot. Maybe I over-snugged them? I don't think I hulked these down that hard. Not hard enough to break, that's for sure. So let's try and get these bolts and remnants of plastic out of the magneto, huh? Cool guy parts. That's what happens when you mess with things. Let's see if I can sneak a mag cover back in here without breaking the old one. How am I supposed to see if my points are working now? Come on. Don't make me loosen the whole carb. This sucks. Pulling the carb out. Yeah, if the carb moves that much, you shouldn't have that much gas pouring out, so our floats are a little off. All the corners cracked right off of this thing. Great. If I can find all the broken pieces. Well, the real reason I wanted to do this was I wanted to re-gasket this mag. So I guess we can still run this gasket because it's in much better shape than the other one. Like, shoot. Maybe I'm stronger than I thought. I must have eaten my Wheaties this morning. Let's see if we can grab all the chunks of broken acrylic or whatever the hell that crap is out of here. This is why we save our old parts. We'll put this one in gently. Okay, magneto install, round 2. We're just gonna go loose snug now because now I'm paranoid about it. Thanks a lot, Sifton. Should have came with a warning label that says, do not tighten, leave loose. Okay, let's try this again. Nothing like spilling gas all over your ignition system. Re-snug up the intake clamp. Drop our plug wires back in to this ugly black cap. Yeah. So don't tighten those down at all, especially when it's cold. Oh well. Click the gas on. And I have no idea where our idle screw settings are. I'm gonna kick this up just a hair on the speed. So basically this one on the outside. Watch the slide. Hopefully this shows up. As we bring this in, usually I go till it just starts raising that slide up. Right there. Give it one extra turn, and then on the mixture screw, I think we left this at 1 out, half. All right, so there's seated, half, 1. 1 turn out. Here goes nothing. Now I'm frustrated and angry. I broke my brand new parts. Gas is on. Carb's got fuel. It's still a little loosey-goosey. See what happens. See what we can light on fire today. Ignition's off. Enrichener's on. 1. 2. Key's off right now, so we're just priming. Man, this kickstand. We're gonna have to torch that one too. All right, key on, enrichener on. A little bit of gas in there. Let's see. Already sounds better. No throttle here. This thing's so tipsy. Enrichener's on. No throttle. Come on. All right, let's try quarter. 8th throttle. It's really hard when the kickstand's too long and the bike's tipping, because I'm pretty much standing on the ground on the kicker right now. Turn the idle up a bit. All right, key off. I just want to check something real quick here. Not getting a whole lot of gas out of here. What's the issue? Why am I not getting the fuel? This should be soaking my hand. Something ain't right. Get gas. getting a little bit of gas residue now. Come home. Oh, I'm an idiot. All right, it runs. We're gonna come back to this later on today. Here's my wonderful carb tightening job. Just blew the carb right off the intake. Oh well, she's on pause. We'll be back later today when I got a little more time. I gotta go to work. What a pain in the ass. Stupid, stupid, stupid. Buy a chopper, they said. Made it back from the shop today. Not gonna lie, I just cheated. I did slap the carb back together and retighten these down. Don't use a flat head on hose clamps. They're 5/16 heads or 1/4 inch heads typically. Sometimes they're metric if you got weird ones, but grabbed this guy, torqued those down so it's actually closing. And like I said, I cheated. I just fired this up. Turn the gas back on. I think I have it pretty close here. I'm now currently sitting at, let's count on the turns here, half a turn out right now. So I fired it up, made sure that it actually lit off. I didn't do anything else crazy. So I'll throw you guys on the tripod. We'll fire this up real quick one more time. It's been running, so hopefully this should go pretty quick. I also messed up earlier. Not a vented cap, so this was tighter than I wanted it to be, which, let me actually swap that out right now with the cap that came on it. Gave it away. So here's the original one. Let's try this again. So it's been running. Still gonna click the enrichener on here because I don't know what the warm start procedure is. And it's really not that warm. Oh, didn't mean to have the ignition on there, but not bad. So that was enrichener on, no throttle. Come on. I don't know if it needs the enrichener anymore. Let's try no choke. Maybe it does want the choke. So we'll choke on, no throttle. Enrichener off. It definitely idles better than it did. I haven't even messed with the screw yet. We're gonna set the speed where we want it, and then I'm gonna let this run for a minute. So while that's idling, I'll let that warm up for a minute or two. Then we'll mess with the mixture screws. air cleaner back on. We're gonna throw the air filter assembly back on because it's definitely got a lean bog. If I covered up the carb, it takes throttle a little bit better. But before I start doing any other adjustments, far from perfect, but she works. Sounded like a slight misfire too. I don't know if that's in the points or the plugs. The front plug on this is pretty fouled out and not in the greatest of shape. Where did I lose the nut? Of course, I went to the other side. And in terms of starting, I think I'm gonna be much better off once I actually get this up to the shop and torch the kickstand, because I'm bottoming out the kicker lever on the ground here on the right-hand side. If I bring it out to the driveway, I got a slight dip at the end, which helps a little bit in terms of leaning it off to the side. Right now, it's not really doing that. It's pretty vertical, and I didn't re-weld the kicker pedal like I need to. So my foot slides off when it starts, and then it kicks back when I let it up and hits me right in the shin, which does not feel good. Snug up this one intake a little bit more here too, but get this tightened down. Turned my cymbals here. So let's tighten up this one intake boot. So now let's try it with the air filter and see if that makes any difference. And this will probably be the last one because I gotta go inside before I get yelled at by the missus. Ignition on. Ooh. Find your stroke. No choke here. Better than it was. And we're closer. Still not perfect, but we're closer. So I think I'm gonna mess around with the needle. Still got a lean bog to it. Throttle wants to kill it. All right, well, that's good enough for me. Good enough for today, at least. We got a lot of carb tuning to do. So if I crack the throttle, it's gonna bog out and wanna die. If you roll into it, it's fine. I know it is a mechanical carb. There's no accelerator pump, so there's a little bit of wiggle room, but I'm pretty sure we can tune that out. Accelerator pumps were new to me when I got into Harleys, and then I realized that they're just cheating at everything, because why tune it proper when you can mask it with some fuel? That's how it goes. So it is running again. That was the main goal. It starts up okay. We'll see how it does tomorrow for a cold start when I get it out of the garage, but now I can't hear anything. And that's it. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you guys on the next one.